Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Paul Reed and I'm a professional photographer. My main love is monochrome photography and I'm going to be showing you a bunch of monochrome photography very shortly. This little series that I'm doing at the moment is really just showing the best of my black and white photography and really just going through all of those and just telling you what my approach was at the time. Before I do that, I just want to remind everybody of the dates that I've still got open for my workshops, and these are in London and Glasgow. I'll just put them up there. These are just fantastic workshops that I do and we have such a good time. It's a really fun learning experience and we just explore the city and I show some of my favourite back streets and then just show you my approach to street photography. So just get yourself on one of these workshops. It would be fantastic to have you there. If you can't make it on any of those, then I also do online one-to-one workshops, or if you want me to mentor you and you've got a project that you're wanting to do, or maybe just wanting to find your path forward as a photographer, then there's that too. I'll put a link in the description and you can have a look at all of that. Now let's just get on with this photography. So this is a continuation of a series that I'm doing where I'm just showing all my best images from last year, and I will put a card up at the end to link to the previous video to this. You don't have to watch any of these videos in order, but if you like this video then there's about another 3 videos with this sort of thing on. So this first image is in London, taken with the Q2 monochrome. I love this photograph. A lot of my photographs are very kind of character driven, and I will stand somewhere sometimes that has got a lot of foot traffic and just wait for somebody that I want to photograph. I don't photograph people just for the sake of it, you know. I'll definitely take photographs of people that I just want to take photographs of. And this girl, I just loved the way that she was dressed and everything, and it's kind of unusual for me to take a one that's portrait rather than landscape, but in orientation. But in this one, I just felt that taking this portrait was definitely the best way. And then this is another one. This is another one taken in portrait orientation, Q2 monochrome again. These buildings just, it was that I was looking at and I thought, right, well, this is my stage. And now I'm just waiting for somebody to enter the stage, and I wanted them framed between those buildings. And then this girl was, just came into frame and I snapped this. Love this shot. This was a portrait taken during one of my London workshops, and this was actually one of the guys that was on that workshop, and he was a great guy and just loved photography. But this was during a part where we were going to be doing some portraits. So there's a section of the workshop that I do which is geared towards street portraits and my approach and my style of doing those street portraits. So it had just been totally raining, as you can see by his hat and his coat and everything, but I just love this portrait. So I'll normally do an example of what I would do and show everybody there what it is that I do, how I do it, and what sort of aperture I'm using and all the rest of it, and then I'll hand over to them to have a go at doing it themselves. This portrait's a keeper for me, and such a great guy, and just love this portrait. And then this was another guy from the same workshop, and actually this portrait and the other portrait, out of the portraits that I did that day on that workshop, these were my favourites, and I just absolutely love this. Love the umbrella. Just the lighting is just sublime on this portrait, and this is just a fantastic portrait that I'm so happy with. This photograph was taken on the London Underground and part of my Lonesome Underground series, which is a series of photographs that are taken of people who are sitting kind of on their own with nobody next to them on the tube. And it's, you know, it's a difficult project to do. I'm not in London all the time, and when I am, I'll be on the tube just waiting for the right people with the right expression on their faces, and then I'll take the photograph. So I maybe add about 2 or 3 to this project a month, if that. So it's a long-term project because it's going to take me a long time just to get enough for maybe a book or something. Again, on the London Underground, Q2 Monochrome again. And so sometimes what I do is, everybody's waiting around and they're probably looking to see where the train is coming in from, and they'll be looking away from me. So I'll place myself, kind of beside them and wait for them to turn to look at me before I actually press the shutter. Again, the reason for this is I love eye contact. It's just something which I love, even though these are candid portraits really, but I love it when people kind of notice. And she'd have been looking the other way, I'll have focused it, all ready to go, and then kind of knowing at some stage she might look round at me, and she did, and I snapped the picture. And then I'll probably give her a wave or something like that, just a wave and a smile, just to kind of acknowledge that I've just taken a photograph. This was a photograph taken, so this is just another project of mine, the Metalhead project, and this is just part of that series. That wall, I didn't take the time to put all of those posters up. They were already on the wall, as was the mirror and the dressing table and everything, and I just thought this is begging for, to be almost, like a background for a photograph. And it's just lit really just by that one bulb that's in her hand there. So this one called Date Night, and yeah, this is just part of that project. Love this photograph. So sometimes it's good to just take a photograph that just doesn't have people in it. Not every photograph needs people in it. And this was actually somebody's garden, and I just love the whole look of it. And I find it fascinating the way people set things out for their comfort and their enjoyment. And I just thought, I just love this photograph. I kind of sometimes frame things with things out of focus in the foreground, just really to give some depth to it. So I did that there with those leaves and stuff, and I just love the whole feel to this one. Again, something without people. Just because you would consider yourself a street photographer or a portrait photographer or whatever it is, it doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't take photographs of things that kind of speak to you. And yeah, I know it's just a window. This is, the thing. If I said that day, well, I'm going out today, what you're going to take pictures of, Paul? And I'd say a window, and they'd say, well, that sounds like the worst picture I've ever heard of in my life. I love this image, and again, you can see that I have put something in the foreground out of focus just to kind of cause some depth there and draw the eye to what it is that I want the viewer to look at. But I love all the detail in this, and just, all the way it's overgrown and everything. And I don't know, sometimes it's hard for me to even explain why, I take a photograph but, I look at this image and it gives me just a really great feeling. And that's all I can really say. Similar again, another window. It was, sometimes it's just the way that you're feeling that day. And I took, probably one window and then suddenly started looking at windows, and I just kind of loved the way there was like that condensation on that top right window there, the way the sun was, the reflections, the way that it's kind of the paint's coming off the window frame, and then and again another one of those photographs that's hard to explain why I took it or why I love it so much now, but it gives me just nice feelings. It really kind of just gives me a lovely warm feeling whenever I look at this image. So this portrait, this couple, what had happened was I had done a street portrait of them, strangers to me, but I just saw them and I thought I loved their look, and I thought I really want to take their portrait. So I went up and I did their street portrait, and I was so pleased, because you don't come across people like this every day. I was so pleased with what I was doing there that I said, look, could we just extend this a little bit, and do some more? And I actually went back a couple of days, met up with them, and did this shot and this one as well. Took them to this old looking cinema. Love this portrait of them. And then this one kind of showing the cinema there again, just a great look to them. Oh, these were taken with the Q2 monochrome. I did take some with film that day, but the film I was using was way too low ISO because it was such a dark day. It was absolutely pouring with rain. It was dark in the cinema, so I actually kind of stopped taking pictures on film and did them with the Q2 monochrome instead. And that was the original street portrait that I did of them, and that was what led me to ask them if I could do some more pictures of them. This photograph just unfolded before my eyes. I just was looking down there, and this guy was just walking right down the centre with that guitar on his back and a hat on, and I thought, right, perfect. I had lots of time to frame it, and just let's go back to people's obsession with saving highlights with with any camera, but certainly with the Q2 monochrome. The people are so busy just exposing for highlights all the time that they're just losing detail in the other areas that's more important. In this case, I would have actually probably made that area lighter than it was. I just don't want detail where it's going to distract from the image. So a lot of times I'll either just say let the highlights blow and expose for the areas that are actually important, or sometimes afterwards I'll say, look, I don't want that detail there, and then I'll just end up putting the highlights up and making sure that there isn't detail in that. So just don't worry so much about some of this stuff. It's all about the photographs at the end of the day, and nobody's going to say to you, and if they do, nobody's going to say to you, oh well, yeah, but you blew your highlights there. Things can look odd if you've got everything that's perfectly exposed and there's no really high lighted areas where it seems that there should be. Then photographs can start to look a bit HDR is my kind of only way of explaining it. This is a photograph of my better half, who is always willing to be photographed by me. We were on the beach that day. It was probably one of the last days that we got on the beach in the summer, and it was actually probably starting to get a bit cold at that time. This is taken on film and on the M6, the Leica M6 with Kodak Tri-X, and yeah, I absolutely love this photograph, and I love that it's on film. I love the grain structure to this. And and of course she looks fantastic. This was taken in Edinburgh. Love this shot, seeing this girl just kind of looking out of the window, with her coffee. And yeah, this is another one of those shots where it's pretty noisy, pretty grainy, but I don't care. I think it adds to the image rather than takes away from it. Again, another thing that we all obsess with is just trying to get these super clean photographs. But I think when you kind of start to move back to film again, you realize how unimportant that is, and that it's the photograph itself that matters. And sometimes that noise or that grain can add to a monochrome image, not take away from it. I absolutely love this photograph. This again is another one of those ones where she'll have been looking the other way. She'll, maybe looking to see if there's any traffic coming. Maybe she was waiting to cross the road, and I'll have focused on her and waited until she was looking over towards the camera. Now, in this one, she didn't look at me, which is my usual preference, but sometimes I know this is all I'm going to get, because some people are just totally unaware that you're there, even though you're standing quite close. This one actually was taken on a Fuji X-E4, and it was with a 50mm lens, or 50mm equivalent, rather than my usual 28. So it was a challenge that day, but I was so happy to get this photograph out of it. This was taken during one of my workshops, the Glasgow workshop it was, and a lot of times during these workshops what I'll do is I'll see somebody who I know is going to look, pretty great in a street photograph, and I'll point them out to the people that are on the workshop, whilst that person is miles away, and I can see these people coming from miles away, and so I can have time to actually prepare myself, get my focus right, get my exposure right, and all that before the person is even anywhere near the frame sometimes. So this was a guy, and he was walking really slow. He was, a lot of the times he was stopping to put, tobacco into his pipe, and I just, there was plenty of time for the people that were on the workshop to take his photograph and for me to run by, and I literally ran by him to his side and took this photograph as I walked by him. So, and yeah, just love everything about it, the fact that you can see the pipe and the tobacco, and yeah, love this photograph. Another part of my Lonesome Underground series, and this one's a cracker, isn't it? Again, I can't take credit for the fact that this guy just looks so cool, and some people I see them and I go, oh no, I've got to take this guy's photograph, and if I see somebody and they're on the tube, and I'll make sure that I'm either seated or standing somewhere near them to photograph. This one is really, really one of my favourites, and the guy looks like he's posing for this shot. And then lastly, this photograph was look, if I knew where it was, in London, at one of the stations, but I can't even remember where it was, because sometimes I just enjoy kind of getting lost, and sometimes I do that in London, where I'll just get on a tube and then I won't even kind of think about where I've got off or anything like that, and I'll just get off and explore. Love doing that. And I knew that there was people obviously going to be going up and down these escalators, but if you wait around for long enough, you're going to get somebody interesting. And when you're concentrating on the people, then that's what you're waiting for, really. You're waiting for somebody what you connect with, or that you kind of look at and you think, yes, that's what I want. And it just so happened that this one gentleman was going down and another gentleman was going up at the same time, and I just love everything about this photograph. It kind of, I don't know, it makes me think about somebody going to heaven and somebody going to hell. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I really, really appreciate all the kind comments that everybody puts on there, and thanks for subscribing. I've got a whole bunch of new subscribers this month. So thankful for that. If you want to support this channel in any way, then I have a section under support the channel under the buy me a coffee. So feel free to contribute to the channel. I really do appreciate it. I've got a few members, and also just now and again somebody just buys me a coffee on there, and I really do appreciate it. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe and all that sort of thing, and I'll see you next time.